He called out Trump, then died days later. Now the files prove Malcolm Jamal Warner saw it all coming. July 20th, 2025. A sunny day in Costa Rica turned into a nightmare. Malcolm Jamal Warner, the man we all knew and loved from the Cosby Show, drowned while trying to save his daughter from a deadly riptide. She survived. He didn't. By July 22nd, the Wall Street Journal published a chilling revelation. Donald Trump's name was officially tied to Jeffrey Epstein's files. It was no coincidence, not when you look back at Malcolm's final words. "You voted for misogyny and hate," he said. His voice trembled with certainty. He wasn't just venting political frustration. He was warning us. And just days later, the entire world realized Malcolm was right. He had always been outspoken. While other celebrities avoided political controversy, Malcolm stepped up and risked everything. His last public message wasn't about acting. It was about justice. He called out Trump's supporters for enabling hate, cruelty, and misogyny. At the time, many dismissed him. But when Trump's ties to Epstein's trafficking network were confirmed, Malcolm's words took on new weight, almost prophetic. What once sounded like political criticism now read like a criminal diagnosis. Just hours after his death, social media erupted, but not with sympathy. Instead, a vile hashtag began trending. "Shaka Blacks Don't Swim." People mocked his drowning. Some even celebrated it. These weren't random trolls. These were Trump supporters. The same people who claimed to protect children were now laughing at the death of a black man who spoke truth to power. The timing was too perfect to ignore. 2 days after his death, while racism flooded the internet, the Epstein bombshell dropped. The Justice Department had told Trump back in May that his name was all over the Epstein case. He knew, and he hid it. Let that sink in. While making campaign promises to release all the Epstein files, Trump already knew doing so would expose him. The man who sold his followers a fantasy of justice was covering up crimes against children. Malcolm warned us, not in vague terms. He warned about the psychology of power, how people who dehumanize women in public will always be capable of something darker in private. He wasn't making predictions. He was describing patterns. His drowning became symbolic. A man who called out systemic abuse drowned while trying to save his child. 2 days later, we learned that the man he warned us about was protecting a pedophile network. Is that coincidence? Or is it divine timing? Trump's base exploded with defensiveness. Instead of addressing the growing evidence, they mocked Malcolm's death. They denied the Epstein ties. They posted memes. They shouted fake news. But they couldn't deny the facts for long. The House Oversight Committee, controlled by Republicans, voted 8-2 to subpoena every Epstein-related document. That wasn't partisan revenge. That was moral panic. Even Trump's allies couldn't stomach what they saw. Nancy Mace, a Republican congresswoman, broke ranks and demanded transparency. She said, "We can't ignore this. The American people deserve the truth." Her bravery opened the floodgates. Even conservative pundits, people who once defended Trump at all costs, began acknowledging something terrible. And behind all of this, Malcolm's voice echoed louder than ever. He wasn't trying to score political points. He was trying to warn us about a man whose mindset was dangerous. When Malcolm spoke about shared responsibility in fighting racism, he was trying to prepare us for something bigger. The moment we'd realize injustice isn't just about color or class. It's about how power protects itself, always. His words were no longer just a personal opinion. They were a mirror held up to a broken society. A society where people claim to love children but defend pedophiles. A society that celebrates the death of a black man while protecting the secrets of the rich. And what about the justice system? It failed him. It failed all of us. Because as the Epstein files grew, Trump's Department of Justice closed the case. No further documents would be released. They claimed there was no client list. They lied, and the cover-up was worse than anyone imagined. Todd Blanche, Trump's deputy attorney general, who also happens to be his personal defense lawyer, was caught visiting Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. Why? What secrets are they trying to bury? Meanwhile, the real victims, survivors like Maria Farmer, have been told they must wait until 2027 to access their own case files. Why 2027? Because by then, Trump's second term would be nearly over. Public attention will have shifted. This is not justice. This is obstruction. And still, some people defend him. They say it's all politics, that Trump is being targeted. But these same people cheered when Malcolm died. They joked about race. They pretended to care about kids, then ignored a mountain of evidence proving that their leader was protecting predators. Malcolm knew this would happen. That's why he called it a shared burden. Because real justice isn't about slogans, it's about standing up even when it's hard. Trump mocked the Republicans who broke ranks, called them traitors, said they were disloyal. But disloyal to what? To him or to the truth? Because truth doesn't bend to party lines. Truth is truth, and the truth is this. Trump knew. He covered it up. He lied. He manipulated his base, and people died for telling the truth. Malcolm's death, tragic as it was, has become a rallying cry. The prophecy is complete. He died warning us, and his warning has now been validated by evidence, by documents, by voices that can no longer be silenced. The victims are speaking. The files are leaking. The truth is spreading. And the same people who tried to bury him in hashtags now have to face the one thing they can't drown: his voice. This story isn't just about Malcolm. It's about every person who dared to tell the truth in a world that rewards lies. It's about justice that never comes until someone pays the ultimate price. And it's about how sometimes death doesn't end a voice, it amplifies it. Republicans who once stood by Trump are now issuing subpoenas against him. His own allies are abandoning him. That's not politics. That's a moral reckoning. Malcolm's final message wasn't lost. It was launched, and now it's too loud to ignore. The DOJ says the case is closed, that no files remain. But we know better, because the truth doesn't stay buried forever. It rises. It surfaces. Just like the body of a man who drowned while trying to save his child, the truth floats to the top. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Trump is not a victim. He's the architect of a lie so deep that even his closest supporters are now waking up. And the ones still defending him? They're not doing it for justice. They're doing it for power. Malcolm Jamal Warner warned us, and he paid with his life. But in death, he became a symbol of everything we must confront: racism, misogyny, abuse, and power that shields the guilty. The man who once entertained us as Theo Huxtable died a hero, not because he tried to be one, but because he chose truth when it cost him everything. As the world began processing the explosive revelations connecting Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein, the backlash wasn't just political. It was moral, visceral, and global. But within the United States, something even more unsettling began to unfold. While Trump's inner circle scrambled to contain the damage, the Department of Justice, under his direct influence, issued a confidential memorandum in late July 2025. That memo declared the Epstein case officially closed. No further documents would be released. No additional names would be made. No records. No explanation. When pressed, the DOJ claimed these were routine check-ins related to prison security procedures, but leaked internal logs showed Blanche had visited Maxwell 4 times in a single week, and only began those visits after the Epstein document subpoenas were issued. What was he promising her? Immunity? Sentence reduction? Silence? Suddenly, everything Malcolm had said about the mindset of Trump supporters came into sharper focus. His accusation wasn't about politics. It was about the willingness to protect power at all costs, even if that meant shielding someone connected to the trafficking of minors. It was a prophecy, and it was unfolding in real time. Meanwhile, victims like Maria Farmer, one of the first women to ever report Epstein to the FBI back in 1996, came forward again. She revealed that she'd been denied access to her own case files. The DOJ told her she would need to wait until November 2027, years into Trump's hypothetical second term, to even read her own testimony. That wasn't justice. That was obstruction. A systemic effort to suppress evidence and silence victims until the news cycle moved on and Americans forgot. But they didn't forget Malcolm. His words were replayed in clips, on podcasts, in memorial montages. You voted for misogyny and hate. What once sounded accusatory now felt like cold, hard truth. The same people defending Trump from Epstein allegations were the ones who mocked Malcolm's drowning. The irony wasn't lost. The very voices claiming to protect children had been caught defending a man directly linked to the exploitation of children. And they mocked a man who had actually spent his life speaking out against injustice. This wasn't political disagreement anymore. It was moral rot, and even Trump's most loyal allies couldn't ignore it. Conservative commentators, names who had once attacked anyone critical of Trump, began distancing themselves. On a major broadcast, one host said, "I don't care how red your hat is. If you're defending someone named in connection with Epstein, you need to take a good look in the mirror." And yet many still clung to their loyalty. For them, Trump wasn't just a politician. He was a symbol of resistance, of identity, of white nationalism disguised as patriotism. And that's what Malcolm had really been talking about. Not policy, but a worldview. One built on